Well, welcome to Small Cap Nation. I'm Jane King at the New York Stock Exchange, and with me today, Michael Markowski, founder of Dynasty Wealth, a very interesting research boutique. And first of all, tell me what makes your firm different than any of the other Wall Street firms out there do research.
Well, we're focused on finding we're focused on finding companies that have the potential to multiply by 10 to 100 times within 5 years in price. And to find those companies, they're very rare, they're very hard to find. You have to know what you're looking for. And we're in a period right now where it's the best period to do that ever since I've been in the market since 1977. Because of the transformation of the industrial to the digital economy. If you take Uber, if you put $10,000 in Uber in 2010, it was worth $105 million in 2015. So there was nothing like that you could have invested in from 1977 through probably 1996. So I went and did all this research on the 1996 to 2000 era. And in doing all that research, I realized what to look for now in these digital disruptors that are emerging, like Uber, Airbnb's another one, first movers, and I've done all this research, and that's what I'm collecting. I'm collecting a portfolio of those things that have that potential. So a company, if it doesn't have that kind of potential, and I'm not going to follow it for 3 to 5 years, I'm not interested in recommending it. That's why we're so unique.
So Michael, all these companies that you're looking at for the explosive growth, really, they all have digital as an underlying theme? Do they have all that in common?
Pretty much so. Internet of Things. When they have internet, they're involved with the Internet of Things. All digital type industries that are just going to explode between now and the end of the decade. I have one of them that isn't. One of them is not. And it's a company that it has, I think it's one of my most valuable companies that I found, because what it does is it's got the technology and it's got the patents and it's got the government approval to convert human waste into energy. And so really, I mean, Bill Gates was on the other day. I watched him on Bloomberg.
I heard him talk about it.
This is what Bill Gates is looking at. This company is the solution for the world's entire energy problem. So I don't know if you have kids. I have kids. Okay, as a father, I'm interested in what's going to happen 100 years down the road to my heirs when we run out of energy. Well, with this company, with the technology they have, that's not a problem, because you can take your waste and you can create electricity out of it, this company. And they're moving into China to do this right now. It's a very exciting company, but when I was watching Bill Gates, he was talking about the problems they have in Africa and all these areas. They don't have any lights. They have to cook inside in the house. It's horrible for their respiratory systems, the whole situation. So yeah, that's one of them. That's the only one of the companies that is not digital.
It's not digital. Can you share any of these companies with us?
Well, I want, because of SEC disclosure issues and all that stuff, they're all on the website. These companies are free on the website. You can go find this company on the website.
What is your website?
DynastyWealth.com. Yeah, DynastyWealth.com. So I don't ever mention a company on the air because of, I want to stay in compliance with SEC disclosure requirements and everything else.
Okay. Let's talk about the 2008 crash. Enron, you've also got a model to look at those and predict when we're in the danger zone in the economy. Tell me about that.
Well, what happened, I've always been a visionary analyst. I'm a guy who, when I see something that looks odd or weird going on in the markets, I go in and do research on it. So when Enron collapsed with 27 buy ratings on it, December of 2001, into bankruptcy, and everybody was telling to buy, I said, what is going on here? So I had developed this computer system to find anomalies. I took it and I did an autopsy on Enron, and I found out what killed it. And I named that the EPS syndrome. And the reason why I was confident I found out what killed it is I did a back test over the previous 5 years and found 100 other companies that died of the exact same cause of death, including Sunbeam, which had the same Arthur Andersen client, was a client of Arthur, like Enron. So I knew I was on to something, and I then came out and I predicted the collapses of Fleming, the nation's largest food distributor, $18 billion, when Morgan Stanley had just raised the money. 6 months later, they went into bankruptcy, and I predicted it. And then I came out with Adelphia, another one.
The cable company.
At $3.6 billion. It went into bankruptcy after I did. So I've used this algorithm to predict bankruptcies and used it to predict the collapses of Lehman, Merrill Lynch, and Bear Stearns.
Now, did you see the housing crisis coming, or did you just know individuals?
Absolutely. I saw the same with the housing. I saw the whole negative cash flow. My algorithm monitors cash flow, and cash flow doesn't lie. Cash flow tells you the true state of what's going on in the economy, what's truly going on in a public company. I don't look at a balance sheet. I don't look at anything. I look at the cash flow statement.
Now, how do you get that? Do you get that from SEC filings or?
Get from SEC filings. I look at SEC filings. It's very difficult. The way that the cash flow statements are on there are difficult to read, but I can read them. So what happened is when this crash what happened is, because of my experience and my background, and I called the crash in 2008. I mean, I put an article out to my readers at Equities Magazine in September 2000 to get out of all 5 of those brokers because they had horrible cash flow numbers. And then Lehman, a year later, collapses and goes into bankruptcy. Bear Stearns, we know what happened and all that stuff. Well, as I was calling that market down in 2008 for my readers, I realized that there was a deflationary risk out there in 2008, and deflation is really what caused the Great Depression. Deflation is the evil twin brother of inflation. It's economists hate it, governments hate it, deflation, because it devalues the assets that the banks have on their books that they're using as collateral, corporate assets. It's a mess. So I went in and did all this work back in research in 2008 and 9 on deflation, and I was very negative on the market at that time, and remained negative until 2013 for something else that happened. Another world event happened that made me become more positive on the U.S. market. But I had thought that Bernanke, with his helicopters of money, had avoided the deflationary issue. And that's what brought me to my biggest alarm that I've seen in 40 years. And that is these Japanese NERPs, which is this report that I sent you to read. That's available on the website, at the Dynasty Wealth website. And I've written an 8-page report on this, but these Japanese NERPs are now...
And NERP is?
NERP is a negative interest rate policy.
And they have gone into that. Japan has gone into negative interest rates.
And so what happened when I saw this happen, I knew that we're in very tough times right now, because for Japan, see, the negative interest rate is really the next step to a negative interest rate is deflation, because in a negative interest rate, the bank's basically telling the depositor, if you don't spend this money, okay, we're going to tax you on it. Okay, the bank is going to charge you. So at some point, people are only going to spend so much. What are they going to do next? They're going to take the money out of the bank and they're going to put it under their mattress.
Yeah.
They're going to prepay their utility bills. They're going to pay a year in advance. I'm going to go to Time Warner and pay a year in advance. They'll be happy, Time Warner, but that sucks money out of the economy. So this is a insidious. These NERPs are insidious. I mean, and right now with Japan, 30% of the world's GDP now, those countries are using NERPs. The whole Eastern Union, European ECB is using NERPs. You've got other countries in Europe using the NERPs, so it's spreading. So deflation is going to happen, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to happen.
Okay.
Deflation is coming.
This is very interesting. We could talk for an hour about this. Real quick before we run out of time, how do you see things right now on your radar screen? You've talked about deflation is coming. That's scary.
What I did is I've worked throughout the whole month of February doing research on the crash of 2008. I wanted to find out what are the metrics that went off that would have told someone this market's crashing, and that you could have followed to know to get out and when to get back in, okay, at the bottom. And I found those metrics. And so I've now compiled an indicator. It's a 4-color indicator. It's green, yellow, orange, and red. And right now it's been fluctuating. So orange right now, it's been fluctuating all month between yellow and orange. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Michael. We're going to have to bring you back because this is several topics here, but thank you very much for joining us to share those ideas.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us on Small Cap Nation.